How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hunter Swift, and today we're going to go over the Intrepid GEO 2.5. I've had this truck for about 5 years. I've had several tents on it, and every rooftop tent has its pros and cons. The pros on this tent are pretty awesome, but there's a couple of cons that really make me question on whether or not I'm going to keep this tent. So stay tuned for that, and without further ado, let's jump into it. So just like every other rooftop tent review on YouTube, we're going to start with opening procedures. So there's latches on either side. You can do this with one hand. Insert the key, unlock it, the latch comes over, and then you relock the lock. It does have a capture system, so the key remains inside of the lock if you don't unlock it. It adds a little bit of security, so one, you don't lose your key, and you don't accidentally leave it unlocked. And two, if you've got like coworkers that like to mess with your truck in the parking lot, it keeps your tent locked so they can't open it on you. So you have both latches unlocked. I like to hop up on the tailgate just to make it a little bit easier, but if you just push up on the tent, let the gas struts do the work. But sometimes the air compresses inside of the tent. It takes a little bit extra to open up, but once you get it to that point, the gas struts will do the work and it'll open up. Okay, so now that the tent's open up on this side, and you hop down, and this is typically where I would end up putting my ladder right here and then climbing inside. However, I forgot my ladder at home because I decided not to keep it in the tent, which it can store inside of the tent. So instead, you're going to watch me climb up the side of my bed rack, side of this. So if we just, okay, that out of the way. Here. Oh, look at my butt. Okay, once you've spider crawled up to the top of the tent from outside, this spring bar just comes up, pushes out, and then holds retention here, right there. And that pushes out the extension that gives you a ton more space and a bunch more headroom. So now that we have the tent open, let's talk about some of the pros. In my opinion, one of the biggest ones is this large window slash door. When I go camping, car camping, overlanding, whatever you want to call it, I go to these really cool places, these really beautiful places like the one that I'm sitting at now. And when I wake up in the morning where I'm sitting in the tent like this, I want to be able to look out and I want to be able to see the view that I'm at. Some of these other rooftop tents have these really small windows that you can't really see out of. You have to get out of the tent to be able to see where you are. And I like being able to just sit up here and chill or lay down or whatever. And these two side doors slash the back window gives almost a panoramic view for when you wake up. You can really see your whole surroundings. So pro number two, the obvious difference between this tent and other traditional wedge style tents is the dual gas strut system that allows for the additional hinge that gives 36% more space inside of the tent. When I first saw this tent, that was the biggest thing that drew me to it, was the additional space. I've slept in traditional wedge style tents before. I'm 6'2". I can't sleep on my back. If we have any mattress other than the stock mattress, which is typically like a 4-inch air mattress, if I'm laying on my back, my feet bend backwards. I have to lay on my side, and even then, I can't have my legs perfectly straight inside of those tents. My girlfriend is 5'4", and even she has difficult time sleeping in some of those wedge style tents, or she has to sleep sideways in the tent in order to lay on her side or lay on her back. In this tent, that's not a problem. There is so much additional space for headroom, for everything. so on the topic of space, pro number 3 is the mattress. It's roughly a full extra large size mattress. Gives you plenty of room if you're sleeping with one other person. They call it a 2.5 person mattress. You might be able to get a dog up here, but really the thing that's nice is, again, because of the double strut gas strut system, is it gives you plenty of headspace, so you can use either end of the mattress to put your head. And then at the end of it, for me, I'm using an Interpid. I want to say it's the double wide long mattress, and it leaves approximately 6-7 inches at the base of the mattress, where it's just an opening that you can put shoes, sweatshirts, whatever it might be. Now that we've talked about the pros, let's talk about the cons. One of the first ones, unfortunately, is condensation. I've had in former tents where I have had zero problems with condensation. This one, is kind of hit and miss. They have vents in the top of the tent that you can open up, and that's to help with airflow, to help with condensation. But I've found that in several occurrences that they haven't been enough. My solution to it has been hanging a Claymore fan from the top of the tent, just to move the air, rotate the air, in lieu or in conjunction with the roof vents that they have built into the tent. Another con that I have with the tent is, I don't know if I would call it build quality, but there's little things about the tent, like the logo itself right here has faded, and I've only had the tent for a little bit over a year. The hinges on the front of the tent have also faded, so they're not black anymore. I don't know if this was just a one-off run or something, but it's just kind of, it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. The last con, this is really the big one, and that is water intrusion while the tent is closed and mounted on top of the truck. So I've had on multiple occasions, including the first weekend that I had the tent mounted to the truck, it was completely dry. I drove through a rainstorm to camp. When I got to camp, I opened up the tent, and there were several spots on the mattress that were soaked with water. I thought maybe this was, since it was the first time opening and closing the tent, it was something that I had caused, a problem, and I had actually reached out to Intrepid. They gave me some tips, and I went from there. Now, this is a GEO 2.5, as I said at the beginning. They have new versions of the tent out now. This is one of the earlier ones. So I know that they've changed certain things as far as like the seals on the side and the fabric itself. So these problems may not occur in the new tent. I can't speak to that. All I can do is speak to the tent that I have now. Again, over the winter, I don't have a place where I can open my tent or store my tent, so it has to live on my truck. Living in the Pacific Northwest, we don't get a lot of dry days where we can like open up tents and air them out in the middle of the winter. And come spring, I opened up my tent and it was like a rainforest. It was completely soaked inside. There was mold, unfortunately, on the side windows and a few other areas on the mattress that I had in there. It ruined my sleeping bag, which may be bad on me for leaving it in there over the winter, but either way, that was completely covered in mold, so I had to toss that. Before making this video, I took every effort to reach out to Intrepid to find a fix for this. Again, this is an older tent, so when I reached out to Intrepid, I did get back that they're coming out with retrofit kits that will update these older tents to their newer style, where they have the larger seals on the side, and I believe there's a couple other upgrades. Another con that has kind of came out of the water intrusion problem is their customer service. Like I said, when I first bought this tent, I did get a deal on it through Intrepid. However, when I reached out from a different email because I just wanted to be treated like anyone else, any other customer. Not saying like I'm a big deal or something like that, but just I wanted to be just a normal customer, no relationship. And it has been over 2 months of very few emails. At one point, it was 2 weeks to get a response, and I think I sent 2 or 3 emails in that time to try to get a response on an ETA of when these retrofit kits were going to come out. I initially was told 1 to 2 months. It took 1 or 2 months to finally get a response that it was going to be another month or 2. So I'm not really happy with that customer service. I'm a really patient person, but unfortunately, like I said, this is a really expensive tent. It's $4,000 plus. And I feel like the customer service is lackluster, and the water problem is really making me question if I want to keep this tent. So after the pros and cons, should you buy this tent? And I would love to tell you 100% that you need to buy this tent. It's the best one on the market. However, for the cons that I've listed, it makes it difficult to recommend it. And I don't want to be that person that says, yes, you should buy this tent when I know that there's a significant problem with it and that I've been having trouble with customer service. Now, you need to take everything I say with a grain of salt. I am just a dude on the internet. By the way, like and subscribe. But I've talked to other people about the Intrepids, and they say that they've had great customer service. So it all comes down to individuals and their experiences. Right now, with my experience, I have a lot of pros about this tent that I really love, a lot of features. They're newer tents. I think there's even better features on those. And again, the new tents, they may have fixed the problem completely. If actually, it would be awesome if any of you are interested, reach out to them. Ask them about the water intrusion on their newer tents. Leave a comment below and let me know what you hear back from them, because I'm genuinely interested to see what they say to everyone about this. If I was in the market for a tent, this tent would still be high on my list for ones that I would consider purchasing. The condensation I found a fix for, but the water intrusion is something that, living in the Pacific Northwest, I just don't know that I can continue using this tent living here if it's continuing to be a problem. But that's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Brand new, this is only my second video. If you have questions, reach out. If you'd like to know more about the tent or in a different way, just let me know and I'd be happy to make a video on that. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Both la warm it up. La. Rooftop tent brings all the overlanders to the yard and they're like, it's better than yours. Damn right, it's better than yours. I can teach you, but I have to charge.